Hi everyone, and welcome to the last of these Fridays with Fenning for the foreseeable future. You know, it's something that I started doing back in April 2020, shortly after lockdown hit the whole country, and I have loved doing them each week and having the chance to connect with you. But you know, it feels right to stop for a while and just to change things up for a bit. So I would ask, just do keep an eye out on our social media posts and other midweek online activities at the Forge. And please do stay in touch. Now, many years ago when my kids were small, my dad and my uncle helped to lay a patio out the back of our house. And as soon as the slabs had been laid and the final cement work completed, we held this little ceremony where each member of my family headed out, and we left a permanent reminder that we lived here by pressing our handprint and writing our names into the cement. And sure enough, if you were to come to our house today and scrape away at the loose stones near our back door, you'd still find the 5 handprints there. And each one is an open handprint, you know, palms flat and fingers outstretched. Our memory forever held in the cement. But you know, to be remembered for being open-handed is a thought I'd love to make a reality in my own life. You know, to be someone who doesn't hold on too tightly to possessions or money or my ideas or even my agenda. Yet to be open-handed isn't a natural reaction. It has to be learnt and practiced. I mean, just think, if you meet or spend time with a small baby in the next few days, just place your finger into the palm of their hand and you'll almost certainly see the little hand close tightly as they take hold of your finger. Why? Well, because it's a natural reaction, isn't it? And if you spend time with toddlers, they'll often grab toys and hold on extremely tightly, especially if others come to play. But as we grow up, you know, we hold on tightly to bicycle handlebars and girlfriends' hands or boyfriends' hands, you know, GCSE results and degrees. And when we start work, you know, we're encouraged to grab the lowest rung of the ladder and then reach up for the next rung. And at some point, well, retirement comes and we hang on to golf clubs and gardening tools and eventually walking sticks and Zimmer frames. And we spend our lives holding on tightly to things. And yet who wants to leave as their lasting memory a closed or a clenched hand in the cement? You see, open-handed people don't hold on too tightly to their possessions, but are happy to share or even give to those in need around them. You know, I've lived with and benefited so much from other open-handed, generous people. Earlier this year, my car died. In fact, a mouse killed it. It's true. I had it for many years and it had done about 270,000 miles, so it didn't owe me anything. But one frosty evening in February, I parked the car on our drive and a mouse decided that the engine was a great place to sit, and it nibbled its way through all of the wiring. So the car was written off and I was carless. But little did I know that a number of very kind, open-handed people donated some money so that I could buy a new car. And I now drive around in a posh Ford Cougar and I love it. And Sarah and I could never have afforded it on our own. And it's all down to the open-handedness of some very kind and generous people. And you know, this has been my experience throughout my life, people being generous and open-handed with what they've had, and I've been so blessed by them. You see, there is something beautiful about open-handed people. Open-handed people aren't necessarily rich or have spare money. In fact, it has nothing to do with how much we have, but what we do with what we have. And open-handed people can be generous with their time, with their love, with their words, with their skills. A couple of weeks ago, I attended my nephew's wedding up in the Lake District, and we had a great time. It was such a beautiful area, but it was something that the groom said in his speech that stood out to me. He said that when he and Grace, his wife, got together and they planned to get married, that he told Grace that he really loved her, second only to his granddad. Now, this made people laugh because it's not the most romantic thing to say, but it expressed the open-handed nature of my dad and my mum. You know, they've never had lots of money, although they've always been very generous with what they've had. But they have given time to teach most of the grandchildren how to ride a bike, make swords and shields when they were little. You know, they always opened up their home and made it a fun place to be. And they've encouraged in their words, and somehow people always feel better having spent time with them. So despite it being funny, there was this hint of truth in what Dan said. And that's the beauty of open-handed, generous people. They demonstrate real kindness and generosity without expecting anything in return. A couple of years ago, when the Forge staff were working on what values were important to us, as we worked together, look at what made it into the top 6 traits that we valued most. It was this: being open-handed with who we are, what we do, and where we want to go. And someone wrote this: we will share our thoughts and plans, holding them lightly and inviting others to help shape our thinking in order to find the best answers. Now, the team do this brilliantly. And when we don't, well, we remind ourselves of this value and of its importance. And this even plays a part in our work appraisals too. So as I conclude my Fridays with Fenning videos, I want to finish by encouraging you to join me in learning how to be open-handed and to live generously. Remember, it's not how much we have, but it's what we do with what we have. So let's learn to be generous with our time. I mean, who could you invest time with this weekend that shows real value and love? And let's be value with our possessions and our finances. Who could you buy a coffee for at work this coming week? Or could you offer to give something that you have to meet the need of someone else? Let's be generous with our praise and our encouragement. Who could you build up by recognizing the good that they're doing and thanking them? And let's be generous with our opinions and our agendas and learn to listen, really listen to other people's insights and experiences and allow them to shape us to be more compassionate and loving in our approach to life. And let's be generous with our forgiveness too. Generosity and open-handedness is a great reputation to have, and I believe we'll learn 2 things that tight-fisted people never will, and that's freedom and a genuine sense of joy. You see, living this way is in fact the way that we've been created to live. Jesus once said this. He says, live out your God-created identity. Live generously and graciously towards others, the way that God lives towards you. Hey, thanks so much for watching over these past 20 months. Please do stay in touch. And if you found them helpful in any way, why don't you go to the Forge website and catch up on some of our talks from previous teaching series, or tune in on Sunday when I'm going to be concluding the series called You're Not the Boss of Me, looking at how to prevent anger from ruling our lives. You have a great weekend, and thanks again so much for watching. You take care.